doing well. In this video today, I just wanted to talk about some ways that you could improve your speaking and your listening. Let's start with the listening. If you, depending on your level, if you are just beginning with English or your level's not too high yet, you still need to practice your listening, but be careful about the material you use to practice it. Too difficult, you're not going to understand anything, and it's going to be very discouraging and difficult for you. So, for example, if you wanted to practice some grammar and things like that as well while you're listening, you could go to a site like British Council. It's really good. It's learnenglish.britishcouncil.org, and you have all the levels here. So, for example, you want to go to beginner, and you can actually take a little level test if you want, and you can choose a listening exercise to do. So, for example, you want to talk about work, something in relation to work. You could have a listening here that only lasts for a minute, and then some exercises to practice with that. This is actually good for all levels. If you want to focus a little bit on practicing your English, you have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Okay, this site is actually good for all areas of learning, but just today we're talking about listening. So you can do that. If you want to do something a little more general, you could go to a site called TED Talks, ted.com/talks. And this is really good because you can search for something that you're interested in. Maybe you look through the topics. For example, we want to talk about global issues. You can choose your language is obviously English, and you can also choose how long you want it to last. So if you only have time for a few minutes, you can choose this, or longer, or maybe you don't care, and then make your choice. So then you have a list of speeches by people. And let's choose something like climate change. And here you will see that, let me just press this. You will see here, while you can listen to it, you can also choose the speed. Maybe you want to make it more, you want to slow it down so you understand better. That's a good idea. Or if you want to try listening to normal speed, or maybe you want to really practice your skills and make it faster, you can do that here. And then you can also have subtitles in English, or I suppose in different languages. So that's great. And you also have the transcript. So you can come down here, press the transcript of the language that you want, and while they're speaking, you can follow what they're saying. So my advice is to try to listen first without the transcript, and later to check it with the transcript if you need it. Or if you are a lower level, you can use a transcript along with the listening. So it's up to you, but it's a really good resource, and you can find things that you have an interest in as well. And then if you want to listen to music to improve your English, you have lyrics training, which is a great site. You just hop on, you find which type that you like. You can choose, for example, disco music, or you can choose TV programs. Let's go to TV programs, for example. Yeah, it must be, no idea. Choose beginner to start, just to get accustomed to it. You start here and start the video, and it will have a gap here, so you have to fill in what they're going to say, for example. Okay, so that's lyrics trainer, also quite useful for learning. So if you want to practice a specific accents, for example, you could type in, for example, learn Indian accents. Maybe you need to do this for work, or English accents or Spanish accents. You can just type into Google and go down and for example, how to understand the Indian accent, something like this, and listen to it. And the good thing about YouTube as well is if you go to settings, you have subtitles and you have the playback speed, just like in TED Talks. So you can use those to to change around the speed and to read while you're listening as well, if you need to do that. Or maybe you like cooking, for example. So maybe you want to type in recipes for, and if you type it in English, you're going to get the recipe. You can listen this way and adjust if you need to. So you can use your personal interests to practice your listening in English as well. So things like that. If you like watching movies or series, you can go to Netflix or Prime or whatever you use. Again, as you know, you can choose your subtitles. You can, for example, if you're just beginning to learn, you can choose your subtitles in your language in Spanish, for example, and later you can have subtitles in English, and then later you can try without subtitles. You should also start with something short, something with not such a difficult accent, and then later you can try more difficult things. So this is just to try and see what is good for you. If it's too difficult, stop it and change it to something that isn't, because if you're not enjoying it, you're going to stop. And don't imagine either that children's cartoons are going to be easier, because sometimes they're not, because they're made for native speakers. They're not made for language learners. So don't assume because you don't understand Peppa Pig that your level is terrible, you know? So just you have to play around with these things to try to get something to suit. So moving on to speaking. You could try to do an interchange, a language interchange. You could go to a website called Tus Clases Particulares. Look for a language interchange. Mine is in Spanish. It doesn't matter where it is, for example, because you could do it online. So you could practice your language online with someone else. You could speak to them in your language for 30 minutes and then swap and speak in English for 30 minutes. You don't need to be a teacher. You just need to be a nice person who wants to share and to help another person while you're also being helped. So if I put in English to, I don't know, for example, Catalan, no idea. Spanish, all the provinces, doesn't matter, and I want it to be online. And then I've got loads of people coming up looking to practice their Spanish or English online. So that's another way to do it. If you don't particularly like that person's style or something, no problem, stop, find someone else. Maybe you have 2 or 3 people that you do this with. It's a really nice way to practice. You also learn about other people and maybe make some new friends. So this is one way to do that if you don't have other opportunities, you know. Another way is to go to the website Meetup. At the moment, obviously, it's difficult with coronavirus, but in normal times, they have lots of meetings, especially around where I live, for language exchange. You can have a beer with people, you can go for a walk, go trekking, do different activities. So this can be a really good way to meet people and practice your language, okay? If you do not have, you can read in a loud voice. So you can read out loud. Sounds crazy, but it's actually quite good. For example, I read to my children in Spanish, and this helps me practice my Spanish speaking as well. Or you could go into Google and type simple poems, and you could read little poems out loud, ones that you like maybe. So that's just more ideas. And then another lyrics training, we already said. So those are just some websites that you could use to help you improve your listening and your speaking. And if you want any more information, just drop me a message in the comments, okay? So have a nice day. Talk to you soon.